Hi, this is Shena, therapist, and I'm just coming to you with a short video about having healthy boundaries and how to enforce them. Now, boundaries are a limit that dictates what makes us feel safe in relationships and in experiences. For example, a boundary can be physical, emotional, verbal, or even spiritual. Boundaries are different depending on the person. Everyone has a different background, whether they grew up, a different set of morals and values. What's most important is that you make sure that you are staying within your own boundaries and your own limits that make you feel safe as a person. So, what do I do if I'm in a conversation or an experience or a situation with someone and I start to feel my boundaries being encroached upon? Well, there's a very simple formula that if you've ever been in therapy or been in any active listening exercise is going to sound very familiar to you. It is the I feel statement, and it sounds like this. I feel blank when you do blank, or I feel blank when this happens. Now, the first blank is the emotion. It is something like I feel hurt, I feel betrayed, I feel frustrated, I feel happy, I feel scared, whatever it might be. That goes in the first blank. Now, it is probably a first response for some to go with I feel angry or even I feel pissed off. Pissed off might be the emotion that you're feeling, but just be mindful that words like that, they're a little bit inflammatory. They're a little bit attacking. They tend to put people on the defensive. And usually words like anger and pissed off, those are what we call secondary emotions because there's something underlying that. I might feel angry because I actually felt betrayed by a friend. I expected my friend to do or say a certain thing and they did the opposite. So now I might feel betrayed, or I might feel rejected, or I might feel taken advantage of. Actually, the primary emotions that are feeding into the anger. I feel taken advantage of, so I'm getting angry. I want to protect myself. I want to defend myself. And that's where it's coming from. So if you're able to in the moment kind of figure out what's actually going on, then express it in that way. I feel blank. Now, the second statement, like I said, is the action, this behavior, that's the situation that has brought you to the first emotion. So it might look like I felt taken advantage of when you were late today, or I felt taken for granted when you were late to all of our appointments this week. Now, notice that the second statement is an actual specific thing that happens. It's not a generalization about the person. It's not I feel rejected because you're self-centered and only think about yourself. Now the conversation would turn towards us talking about this thing that I said about you instead of my actual feelings and emotions. And it's important to start with your feelings and emotions because that's something that can be solved, that's something that can be processed. I can't really fix what you think about me. To start to bring in generalizations or insults about the other person actually takes away from what actually happened in the moment. What actually made you feel like your boundaries were being broken or pushed. And so in these conversations, it's important to try to stay on topic, no matter how much you might really want to kind of get that zinger in. And a way to kind of help with that is to think, you know, in this situation, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? Some people approach conflicts with the perspective of I'm going to win and I'm going to be victorious and I'm going to prove this person wrong. I'm going to prove that I am justified in how I feel. And that point of view is totally understandable, especially if you feel like you have been neglected or what you needed to feel safe has been pushed aside. However, it might help to look at it in this way. If you approach conversations or conflicts with the perspective you're going to win, you're now making that relationship a war ground. And in every war, there are casualties. No one walks away unscathed. People lose their lives, they lose limbs, they lose loved ones. There's always something that is lost. So in your relationship, do you want to lose something? Do you want to have metaphorical bodies lying around? Or do you want you and the other person or the other people to leave more whole, more reconciled, more safe than they did before? If that is your goal, then using statements like I feel and staying away from insults and attacks might be the best way to reconcile. But if you'd rather have that bloody war, then go back to the other ones. But you probably won't leave with your goal in mind of feeling heard and justified because the other person might just be stuck on all the other things that were thrown into the conversation. So as a recap, it's I feel blank when blank happens. I feel sad when I don't get a phone call from you. Or good things. I feel happy when you leave me a note that says where you're going to be. Or I feel taken care of whenever you wash my car for me. This is an excellent way to communicate the positives in a relationship as well as the negatives. And it's just as important to communicate the positive things as well so that people know what they're doing right. So that people know what is helping to bring you closer together.